It is my distinct pleasure to welcome the young women from Spelman College. We have Gia Tadeja, a graduating senior studying economics with a double minor in management and organization, as well as entrepreneurship and innovation. Kayla Smith, a sophomore declaring a major in ESG studies. And Jada Cooper, a junior psych major. Good luck.
Our executive summary consists of a deep dive learning more about Mr. Christie's Cookies, which we were tasked with developing 4 acres of land. And here you will learn more about our site, the concept, and the opportunity.
So without further ado, we'd like to introduce to you
Oasis by the Bay.
So pictured above is the site plan. So to the left is an aerial view, which is the allotted 4 acres that we were tasked with developing. And to the right is our inspiration picture for our development.
to get to some of the demographics of the Humber Bay community. Humber Bay consists approximately of 21,500 community members. This community is mainly comprised of an age range 30 to 54 years old with an income range of $50,000 to $150,000 a year. And as far as family structure and home demographic, the community is primarily comprised of singles with a second leading industry demographic of couples with no kids.
Okay, great. So now moving along to our financial feasibility for the development and the long-term investment. Today we have allotted, for our Oasis by the Bay, we've allotted about 30% for our art gallery, which is considered Art by the Bay. We have designated 23% for our food hall, which is also known as Eat by the Bay, and it will consist of 33 tenants. For our community garden, we've designated 2%. And moving along to an additional 2%, that will go towards our Pilates Club. Also moving along for our Oasis by the Bay Wellness Center, that will have about 14% of allocation. And last but certainly not least, we'll have an additional 30% of retail for our shops and Play by the Bay, which will consume of luxury consumer retail. And also to the left, as you can see, we will have a 65% debt structure as well as 35% equity with a 10% investor ROI.
And if you would turn your heads to the boards on the speakers, that is a development rendering. So on the right of the development, we will have our one property, which is the art gallery and the food hall. And to the left will be the Pilates Club, the Wellness Center, and Shop and Play by the Bay, which will consist of luxury consumer retail. And in the middle and on the roof is our allotted green space intended for a Zen garden. So these revenue models are per category of potential income for different types of retail spaces in our development. So for the food hall, we are expected to generate $50 per square foot. Our expected revenue per year is $1.7 million. The expected expenses is $1.3 million per year for an NOI of $340,000 a year. So for fitness, we are expected to generate $62.50 per square foot. Our expected revenue is $212,500 a year. Our expected expenses are $170,000 a year for an NOI of $42,500 per year. For the art gallery, we are expected to generate $250 per square foot. The expected revenue is $10.6 million per year. The expected expenses are $8.5 million per year for an NOI of $2.1 million per year.
Furthermore, we have broken down our consumer retail category. And for consumer electronics, we are expecting a price of $25 per square foot with an anticipated annual revenue of $425,000 USD and an anticipated expenses of $340,000 USD with a total net operating income of $85,000. And for our athleisure category, we have an anticipated $55 per square foot with an expected revenue of $1.7 million USD, an expected expenses of $1.3 million USD, and an expected net operating income of $340,000 USD.
And moving right along, our furniture tenant is expected to generate approximately $75 per square foot, which will bring us to an expected revenue per year of $701,250. And it'll also bring us to an expense rate of $561,000 and an overall NOI of $140,250. Moving along to our wellness tenant. Our wellness tenant is expected to generate $55 per square foot. Our expected revenue will consist of $1.16 million, which will bring our expected expenses every year to about $932,756, which will also bring us to an average NOI of $233,189 for an overall NOI of $3.3 million. So now moving along to our opportunity analysis. This is how we projected our NOI per year with relation to our exit in March of 2028 if we begin this development process May of 2023. The total amount of investors' capital is $7.7 million. The sale price is projected to be $44.4 million, which will result in an equity multiple of 3.5%. The IRR is 18.6%, and the limited partner internal rate of return, also known as LIRR, is 20.7%.
The investment leverage debt to equity ratio, again, is 65 to 35 respectively in the first year for the construction loan. Our net cash flows are as follows, with year 1 being $1.5 million, year 2 being an estimated $1.6 million, year 3 being an estimated $1.7 million, and year 4 being an estimated $1.8 million. Overall, we believe this is a strong investment opportunity with a reasonable purchase price, a strong income potential, and a potential for significant returns. Preferred returns, equity multiple, IRR, LIRR are all impressive indicators that we have a well-structured deal and a strong potential for generating profits. All right, and to get into a little bit of the transit opportunities and integration ways to get to our development, we have intended to partner with First Capital and Pemberton Group. We have read and researched that they are intending to do a joint venture, and a part of their proposal is to bring a transit GO station to this Humber Bay Shores location. And this master plan that they have includes a community development that has 36 new buildings. So we plan to develop the allotted 4 acres that we were tasked with developing with integration of the remaining site development in the works. To speak to ESG, the reason it is extremely important to partner with transit, especially with public transit, is so that not only is our place accessible to get to, but it does not require vehicle transportation. So not only does it open the accessibility in terms of demography, but it is also helping to reduce carbon emissions.
Thank you, Kayla. So now moving along to our project timeline. Now that we have all of the logistics and financials out of the way, let's really understand how long does this project take for Oasis by the Bay. So we've broken it down into 6 phases, and for phase 1, this will take about 6 to 12 months, and this consists of our financing and acquisition plan, which will really just allow us to gather capital and meet with potential investors so that way we can get our deal off the ground. Phase 2 will consist of a pre-construction phase, which will allow about 3 to 6 months, and this will allow us to gather necessary permits and work with our construction team for the groundbreaking. Phase 3 will consist of the actual construction phase, which will be about 18 to 24 months. Phase 4 will be about 3 to 6 months, which is our lease-up allocation for that time period, and this will allow us to develop marketing strategies to actually reach potential tenants and clients. Phase 5 will be our operations, which is, of course, ongoing because we have the actual land to develop. And phase 6 is our exit strategy, and so this will be about 3 to 6 months. And this will consist of really just allowing us to evaluate the market, evaluate our property, the performance, and understand the tangible impact that we've been able to have, and ultimately develop a successful exit plan. And lastly, this overall project will take about 33 to 54 months to complete, depending on the factors such as size, complexity of the development, and location in the real estate market.
All right, so now we'd like to talk about the social and environmental responsibility that we kept in mind when constructing our development plan. So TSC Development is committed to progressing sustainable communities. As such, we have designed our property with LEED Platinum certification goals in mind. As concurrently, we are mindful of our water usage, energy efficiency, embodied carbon, and land construction materials. In addition to LEAD aspirations, we have also included a SEAM metric, which is an up-and-coming metric that stands for the Social Equity Assessment Measure. It is in the pipeline, in the works, an assessment that helps to evaluate the social value, responsibility, and impact of a development. And it was drafted by Rainey Shane, who is the Social Sustainability Director for JLL of the Americas region.
So thank you for your time and for listening to our presentation on Oasis by the Bay. This has been TSC Development, which stands for Tejeda
Smith
Cooper.
Development. We now open the floor to questions. Thank you.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I really like that you guys got. I'm a numbers guy, so I like that you got straight to the numbers there.
Thank you.
And I particularly liked, it's obviously you guys understand the amount of supply that's going on, and try to get up with a very mixed use development. I really liked the idea of the food hall that you added to that.
Thank you.
That was new. Talk to me a little bit about, in terms of just sort of comps and how you guys looked at it. There's a considerable amount of space, and how you guys arrived at the art gallery concept.
For sure. So just to clarify, the question is, how do we come up with the space allocation for the art gallery?
Space allocation for the art gallery, and particularly, just in terms of comps and how you sell. I don't see a lot of art galleries being bought and sold these days. So
Right.
just how that played into your value.
For sure.
yeah.
Yes, thank you for that question. So we really took in mind what the actual community wanted and what the municipality wanted of Ontario. And because there's already not necessarily an overcrowd, but a lot of housing and apartments and condos there, we thought it would be really great to develop a luxury, high-end, community-driven and focused center. And so we thought art, because there are a lot of dinks, dual income, no kids within our area. So a lot of millennials and young adults enjoy different things, whether that's taking pottery classes, whether that's doing new adventurous things, going see art galleries, museums with their partners, or even their friend groups. And so we thought that this would be a really great way for the community members to connect with who their neighbors are, who they're living with, and to just really hone in on that community-driven aspect. So,
And just to add a little bit of color to that great answer, thank you, Gia. Again, it really is about audience. Like, we're aware of our demographics, and we wanted to cater our space to something that would be usable for them. In addition to that, because Mr. Christie's Cookies, there was, a desire to pay historical homage to the development that was there. Having an art gallery really allows creative expression and also remembrance of what used to be there, and can tie in the diversity of the community. Having a very diverse community, we did a little bit of background research that we did not include, but it is a very diverse area, especially with a lot of Caribbean immigration. So with having an art gallery, we thought that just enabled a lot of flexibility. We can have rotating exhibits. We can just feature a lot of different demographics in a very creative way while maintaining that historical component.
I also wanted to speak to the comps aspect, because I know you asked about market comps for the art gallery. So there were a few galleries and art centers in different cities in Ontario and Toronto. So what we did was we took a few of those and we analyzed how much they may make per year through market analysis and market research. We analyzed them and we took the comps and added them and divided them by each other so that we could get the average. Yes. Sorry. So that we could get the average. And we also did market research on how many visitors, based on children, families, single people, how many visitors are at art galleries per year. And we also factored that into the market analysis when it comes to comps for the art gallery.
and one last tidbit, we thought an art gallery would just be really helpful in regards to the social impact that we are trying to create for this area. So we wanted to implement an art gallery to also provide job opportunities for college students that are within the area, because there's a college campus 20 minutes away from our development.
I thought that was excellent. You can tell this is you all put a lot of research and thought into this, and I thought that you had a strong idea of the identity of the project. I can see it. I really loved how when you were talking through the it was a construction timeline slide.
Sure.
That you told the story. Thank you.
Absolutely.
That you told the story behind what was going on in each of those phases. I think it's really good to use the slides to tell that story, and I thought that was excellent. So.
Thank you so much.
Fun fact, my first time going to Toronto was for an art crawl.
Oh, look at that! Look at that!
Right for the community.
Fun fact. And then our second to last art gallery I went to, this random artist I'd never heard of named The Weeknd was doing an after party. Never heard of him before. This is 2011. Anyway, great job showing the numbers.
Thank you.
So you did two things that I had mentioned earlier. You showed it earlier and you showed it later. Right, you kind of restated that, which I liked, and then you took an approach on going toward the luxury market, which there is a market for that.
Absolutely.
So you're very purposeful, saying this is how we're going to do this. Here's how we're going to execute it. You did show your comps, or at least the numbers on here's what the price is in this area, and here's what we're proposing, and you showed those adjacent to each other. I thought that was very clear, saying, okay, they did some research there, like that.
Yes.
They did their research. Okay, they understand what that market is about, and now I can see kind of juxtaposed to the neighborhood what they're proposing here. So I thought that was well executed. So thank you.
Thank you.
Also to that point, we added an asterisk at the bottom that says these figures are derived from industry averages with consideration that this property in our market will have a waterfront premium because it is on the bay.
So that is why we put the two different prices. So the first price is the industry average, and then the second price is our estimated average based on the 1.5x premium. And then speaking to why, again, the right fitted to our market, Dinks have considerable disposable income, so that is exactly why we wanted to do a luxury market.
For sure.
Luxury is also a little bit more resilient to like economic cycles because middle market is what gets the hardest by economic cycles, where people in a luxury market typically are a little bit more resistant to economic changes and still have disposable income to spare. So we wanted to have a property that was sustainable in terms of economic feasibility and longevity.